Would you mind if I sat with you for a while? I am not in the mood for merrymaking tonight, and when I saw that you had made your own fire away from the others, I thought we might be of the same mind. But if you prefer to be left to your thoughts, I understand. It is strange to see those mountains at last, is it not? After days and days in the forest, our journey's goal is almost within our reach. Tomorrow we climb, and then we fight. If the dragon is there, that is. We have a fair chance, I think. 'Tis a formidable beast, if what we've heard of it is true. But our travel companions are seasoned warriors all. There's Arrow-Odd, who fought 11 berserkers on his own and lived. Over there is Harvor, daughter of Angantýr, and Thorgeir the Reckless. And the two that seems to be having an argument, that's Ravnshjall the Nose and Ingvar Leggbiter. The rest are the sons and daughters of Jarl Bjarmir of Adalborg. We are in good company, my friend. They do not worry about tomorrow. They eat and drink. They dance and sing and argue until they exhaust themselves and fall asleep. And tomorrow they'll be rested and ready. 'Tis how it usually goes for them. But that is not our way, is it? Do you find their music and loud talk as tiresome as I do? The night before battle always feels tense, and I find no respite in merrymaking. My mind is ready for battle already. Sleep does not come easily to me when the morning is full of tasks and importance. And more often than not, there's nothing to be done about it, except while away the time with stories. And if sleep is eluding the both of us tonight, I could tell you a few. Are all your preparations done? Armor mended? All your equipment in order? Let me take a look at your blade. not bad. 'Tis of good make, solid, well balanced, and the edge. Now, this will not do. Your sword is blunt. Here, I have a whetstone on me. Let me sharpen your blade for you, while we talk of dragons and monsters. Have you ever seen one of their kind before? I believe they are quite rare. But if the old stories hold true, what can they tell us of such creatures? That dragons do exist, that they are somewhat like big snakes, and that some of them can fly. But most are said to slither along the ground. Dragons, worms, or serpents, they are all of the same ilk, twisted and poisonous, evil doers. The oldest dragon of myth is Nidhogg, the serpent that chews the roots of the world tree. An ancient and terrifying being, prophesied to survive the final battle and the end of the world. And as the new world rises from the sea, and gods and men are living in peace, Nidhogg comes flying from the east with corpses in his wings. Not even the new world will be rid of evil. Nidhogg is not the only one. There are many stories of a great serpent of chaos that resides beyond the lands of men, an encircler of the world, another monster of the end times, and the bane of a god. We call him Jormundgandr. He was bred by Loki with the Jotun woman Angerbúða. Her name means bad tidings. Their other children are the Fenris wolf, who will swallow the sun and the moon and be the bane of Odin himself, and Hel, half blue like a corpse, the merciless ruler of the land of the dead. And then there is the serpent, Jormungandr himself, who has grown so big that he encircles the world and bites his own tail. He is the mortal enemy of Thor, the giant killer, protector of mankind. Do you know the story of Thor fishing for the serpent? Once, when Thor was visiting the Jotun Hymir, they decided to go fishing together. Hymir tells Thor to get his own bait, so Thor goes to where Hymir keeps his oxen. He tears the head off of the biggest one, Linurjur, the sky terror, and brings it with him as bait. Thor himself takes the oars and starts rowing. After a while, Hymir says that this is the spot where he usually fishes for halibut. But Thor says he wants to go further. Thor keeps rowing far beyond where Hymir usually goes to fish. This makes the old Jotun nervous, and he warns Thor that if they go further still, they will no longer be safe. This far out, they might encounter Jormundgandr. Still, Thor keeps rowing for quite a while before he finally stops and throws his line in the water. And sure enough, the great serpent itself swallows the ox head. When the serpent realizes it has been hooked, it throws its head back so violently that Thor's hands are slammed against the rail of the boat. Thor starts pulling with all his Asir strength, and the serpent struggles so hard against him that Thor's feet break through the bottom of the boat. With his feet on the seabed, Thor finally makes the serpent's head surface, and the two mighty enemies glare at each other. Thor lifts his hammer to strike at the monster, but at that very moment, the cowardly Hymir pulls out a knife and cuts the fishing line. The serpent sinks back into the water and escapes. Thor throws his hammer after the serpent in anger, punches Hymir in the face for good measure, and wades to shore. And how could it end any other way when Thor and Jormungandr are fated to fight at the end of the world? As Odin fights the wolf, Heimdall fights Loki, and Frey fights Surt, Thor will fight Jormungandr, and they will kill each other. The giant killer's hammer will strike the serpent dead, but Thor will only walk 9 steps afterwards before he himself falls dead from the serpent's venom I suspect the monsters I have mentioned so far would be a bit beyond us. But there are also stories of human heroes fighting dragons or serpents. Sigurd, son of Sigmund of the Volsungs, is one such hero. His family always had the favor of Odin, and no wonder. They were great warriors all, and Odin collects those, of course. After many battles, Sigurd took the sword Gram, forged from the remnants of a broken sword Odin had given to his grandfather, and the horse Grani, a descendant of Sleipnir no less, and travelled to Nidhogg to kill the dragon Fafnir. His advisor, the dwarf Regin, told him to dig a pit and hide in it, so when the dragon passed over him on the way to drink from the river, Sigurd could attack it from below. Perhaps there's a hint in there that dragons have soft bellies, or that it's best to lay a trap rather than attack head-on. The track the dragon had made, going through and from his cave, ended at a cliff high above the river. When Sigurd saw the place where the dragon would lie down to drink, he turned to Regin and said, "You told me that this was a dragon of normal size, but to reach the water from here, it must be large indeed." Regin still insisted that Fafnir was within the normal size range for a dragon. Sigurd dug several pits and sat in the middle one and waited. When the dragon came, the earth shook under his weight, and it spewed its venom in all directions. But Sigurd did not fear, and when the dragon passed over him, he drove the sword Gram into it as far as it would go. Even with a mortal wound, the dragon Fafnir thrashed about, crushing everything around him. Sigurd jumped out of the pit and pulled his sword out of the dragon's flesh. It is said that the great worm still took quite some time to die, and that they spoke at length. Fafnir and the last son of the Volsungs. It is not for me to tell what words passed between them. But when Fafnir was finally dead, Regin came out of his hiding place. "You have won a great victory," the dwarf said, "for no one else has dared to put themselves in the dragon's path. But you have also killed my brother." And the two of them were brothers indeed. Dwarves can take many forms, and Fafnir had for many years held the form of a dragon, better to guard his treasure. I would not have come here if not for you, Sigurd said. Had you not spurred me on, Fafnir would still be alive. Regin then cut the heart out of the dragon. I will only ask one favor of you, the dwarf said, that you roast this heart for me to eat. Sigurd agreed to this, and Regin laid down to sleep. Sigurd made a fire, and when the heart had been roasting for a while, he touched it to see if it was done. When doing so, he burned his finger and put it in his mouth to cool it. And as soon as he got a taste of the dragon's blood, he could understand the language of birds. And he then overheard what some of them, sitting in a tree close by, were saying. There sits Sigurd, roasting the dragon's heart for Regin, said one. He should eat it himself instead. Then he will be wiser than any other man. A second bird said, There Regin lies, he who will betray Sigurd, who trusts him. And a third bird said, Why does he not kill Regin and take the treasure for himself? He is not as wise as I thought, if he kills one brother, but lets the other live. I think Regin needs to be shorter by about a head. Regin was indeed plotting against Sigurd. There were no love between the dwarf and his brother, but the murder of a family member must be avenged. After listening to the birds, Sigurd took his sword, killed Regin in his sleep, and took the treasure for himself. The stories of Sigurd are stories of treachery and betrayal. The greatest human hero of all time was murdered in his bed. A tragedy and a waste. He was the greatest of warriors, Sigurd the Dragon Slayer, honed for Valhall, but he was lost to Odin in the end. Here, your sword. 'Tis as sharp as I can get it. Make sure it does not go blunt again. Take good care of your weapon, and it will serve you well when you need it. It seems a folly, does it not, to seek danger when you could have stayed safe at home. Yet here we are, hunting a dragon. Such deeds are not for common folk, and none of us have Volsung blood in our veins. But sometimes you do have to face your fears, and the cave you most fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. My storytelling has tired me at last, and you too, by the look of it. I shall take my leave of you. You have my thanks, friend, for letting me share the warmth of your fire. Sleep well, and may you dream of heroes and monsters.
Sì.